Were you a teacher that set up classroom rules and procedures only to have your students completely bypass your classroom management system? Hi, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Cecilia Temes, and I'm an experienced educator and consultant. And I help passionate history teachers feel confident and competent by sharing tips, strategies, and advice to help you teach like an influential educator. So if you enjoy learning about these topics, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you know exactly when the latest video drops. Now, if you're asking yourself if I'm a Beyonce fan, why yes, I am. But as an experienced teacher, I am always brainstorming analogies to teach. So today, y'all are getting classroom management insight modeled by the Queen Bee herself. Now, it's not unusual for me to observe colleagues or work with campuses or school districts that actually struggle with managing their students, even if they don't realize that this is one of the primary causes for their ineffective lessons. Now, I don't care how great a teacher you are. You can have the best lesson, classroom policies, and procedures, but if you have not implemented that missing cornerstone for any classroom management system, then it really has not worked optimally for you. So today, I'm gonna have Beyonce model 4 components to effective classroom management. And don't forget to watch until the end, because I'm gonna be sharing a super exclusive invite for teachers that are ready to take it to the next level. Let's talk about those non-verbal cues. So this first one should come as no surprise. Basically, what you don't say is as important as what you say. Now, I know that in our profession, we are so busy doing so many other things that people don't really stop to think about this. Teachers don't really stop to think about this. And that is, our body actually conveys feelings. They are reflections of what your mind is thinking. Now, unfortunately, this means that if you are not mentally feeling confident, it's going to reflect in your body. And the easiest way to fake that confidence, at least while you get the hang of things, at least while you get to know your students. And if you're a first-year teacher, the easiest way to fake confidence, because there is something sort of nerve-wracking your first year of school where you're having to stand in front of your students and actually be their teacher. But the easiest way to fake this confidence is to do so through your body, through the nonverbal cues. Now, here's the other thing. Our students are so good at reading our body language. So you want to make sure that your body language conveys confidence. So what does that physically look like? So essentially, it's a combination of good posture, eye contact, your body being angled at a 45 degree, not necessarily in a confrontational stance where you are blocking the student or standing right in front of them. Open body language, so no crossed arms or anything like that. Relaxed shoulders. You don't realize you might do this, but slightly raised eyebrows, because it just naturally happens after you've been in this job for a while. But basically, it's this confidence, right? I'm about to request for us to complete a certain task. So before you even say anything, before you even explain your classroom expectations and procedures, don't forget you are already giving nonverbal cues to your students in what you do, in what you say, in how you stand, etc. Number 2, physical presence. Okay, y'all, so I have a confession. And that is that I secretly get so annoyed when I hear teachers asking questions about where should I go shop for teacher clothes? What's a good store to go, get some good teacher clothes that looks professional, etc. And while I'm annoyed by this question, as a veteran educator, I completely understand the purpose of this question. And let me explain to you why this is important besides just being in teacher dress code and for aesthetic reasons. Believe it or not, your physical presence plays an essential role in the influence you'll be able to exert over your students, in priming your students to be amenable to being influenced by you. So you need to ask yourself, how do you dress to work? If you want to command a room, you gotta dress like it. Do you know how to work the room? Do you walk in making eye contact? Do you know your students' names? Are you sharp and on it? And just to be clear, being sharp and on the ball is essentially a vibe. And essentially, by being sharp and on the ball, it just means that you are so intuitive. That means that you can read the vibe of your students so well, and their intentions and their intent. And this isn't necessarily making assumptions, it's just being intuitive and having that emotional intelligence. And if you watch any of my other videos, you know that I'm a huge proponent of really developing ourselves as educators in the emotional intelligence department. okay? Because that'll prevent us from making erroneous assumptions about our students. But I digress. Are you so intuitive and proactive that you can foreshadow students' questions, reactions, or missteps? So as the British would say, this particular tip is about looking smart, and of course by smart I mean looking sharp, and also being quick-witted and physically conveying the knowledge that you are quick-witted, you are on it, you know your stuff. Now, because none of us were born knowing how to be the perfect or the ideal teacher, I would love to hear which one of these tips or strategies you feel you definitely want to improve on. Comment below and let me know. Now, strangely enough, part of your physical presence is your desk, because your desk is essentially an extension of you, and believe it or not, of your mind. So ask yourself, what does your desk look like? Messy desk conveys this job is not a priority, and it's definitely not important. Messy desk also conveys I'm gonna lose your papers and your stuff's not so important, therefore don't take my class seriously. Messy desk conveys my mind is scrambled, just like my desk. I don't really know what I'm doing. And I know that, not everyone has the gift of being organized, but if there's something that you work on right off the bat, it's make sure that every day you tidy up your area to make sure, even if you have your own system to it, right? As long as you have an organized system or some sort of method of keeping your area tidy so that you know where everything is and students are aware that you have a system, that's definitely going to make a difference in the impression and the value that students see in your class and in your influence. Now, speaking of systems, I do want to tell you, your classroom does not have to look Pinteresty. Okay, so even if that's a personal aspiration, that's fine, but you want to make sure that you have a plan or a system in place for pretty much everything. If you don't have systems of organization, if you don't have procedures, even for yourself as the teacher, your presence, okay, the way you present yourself, your vibe will be compromised in your students' eyes. The third component actually deals with word choice. So what you say is as important as what you don't say. So that means that when you speak, you want to make sure that you're specific and accurate. Y'all remember when we were growing up and our grandmas would tell us to go search for the thingy inside a container with the thingy on it? Now, this also means you need to be careful about what you say and what you promise. And whatever it is you promise, whether that's a consequence or a reward, you have to be prepared to follow through. Because if you ask any student out there, they will tell you that their most respected teachers talk the talk and walk the walk. Now, sometimes one of the most overlooked strategies is the most essential. And the foundational layer to making all this other extra stuff work is asking yourself, do you have a relationship with your class? You cannot exert influence over a group of people that you don't know. Because just think about it. Then how do you know what to leverage in order to gain their trust and their cooperation? People do not trust strangers, except maybe on Uber, but even then. So we can't expect our students to play follow the leader or see us as role models if we have not taken the time to learn about the audience, to learn about our students that we are serving. And if they do not trust us and we've not taken the time or invested that time in gaining their trust. No one wants to feel like they're being manipulated or told what to do. I mean, just think of ourselves as teachers, right? We dislike being told what to do by a leadership that has a really impersonal approach, right? They're just up there on the pulpit barking orders. While in contrast, for a nice admin team, we'd be willing to move mountains. So the same theory applies. If you found this video insightful, be sure to check out my other video, Change Your Students' Behavior. And if you're ready to level up your classroom management and learn how to truly design a system that's inclusive, that works with natural human psychology, and most importantly, that allows you to get some actual teaching done, be sure to click the link below to apply to my Mindful Management program. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, class dismissed.